Thursday. Yeah, today's Thursday, right? Thursday stream. Whoa! Now, I want to try something today. I'm going to start playing music. This should be, yeah, Twitch stream safe, background music. I think I have it at a pretty good volume. I don't know what you guys think. It might be a little too loud, might not be. But, you know, it's a learning process, right? I'll get used to doing real stream stuff eventually. But I want, background music other than just my voice, right? But we have work to do, don't we? We gotta get this encounter table done. Or at least get, probably 8 in each category. I left a couple for later. I don't have to work until 5 today. And I want to have at least a most of stream tomorrow to, figure out, like, to do all the Discord stuff, all the different ideas that have popped up on Discord. I specifically have a couple island ideas to go through and a few other things. So, yo, what's going on, dude? Alright, so today, encounter table, all that stuff. Mostly just coming up with different events and event descriptions, right? Oh yeah, by the way, Nova, is the music, like, too loud, too quiet? What are we thinking here? I'm trying to do music just so that I have less, like, just me talking, and there's, like, just normal music. You would say too quiet? Alright, hold on. Like, oh, maybe not show that. Let's go... maybe, like... here? What are we thinking now? Yay or nay? Too loud, too quiet? What are we thinking? You know what? Here. You know what? Let's get on a thing. It's pretty good? Okay. I'm not hearing the same volume that you are. I have a different volume going through my headphones than I have output on here. But as long as it doesn't overshadow my voice or anything, I'll keep it like this. I just didn't want it too loud in my own ears so that I couldn't think, right? So yeah. Alright, let's get started. I want at least 8 in each of the encounter table rollable categories. And then I want... after that point, I need to edit the full table, and then we're good. After getting 8 in each, I'm gonna slow down considerably on, like, what I need to do. I'll slow down considerably, because at least at that point, once I have 8, I'll come up with more ideas eventually over time, and I'll assume as the Discord grows, I'll get more ideas in that specific channel anyways. So, it's smarter this way, right? But alright, let's get started. So, I think last stream I worked on a lot of the miscellaneous ones. Just something that isn't necessarily good or bad, but something that just could happen. Like stowaways, stuff like that. I also have a few character ideas that excuse me. Yeah, I have a few different character ideas that I want to go through. And, I specifically... I have 2 very prominent ideas in my head right now. One of them was from a post that I saw regarding, hold on. Regarding, like, the fastest way to actually do movement in D&D, right? Like, what was it? You could go upwards of, like, 400 miles per hour, I think, in, like, a single turn, right? What is it? What was the actual feat or something? I'd have to look it up. But it basically involved using a tabaxi monk with, like, using a bunch of key points and everything like that. And I really like the idea of having, like, a surfer tabaxi that has like a specially made board that they just kick off of just a random side of an island and just coast using momentum to another island. Oh, like miles away just by using this like 400 miles per hour boost, right? Like here, hold on. I know I'm supposed to be working on the encounter table today, but I want to work on this. I don't really have a name for them yet, but Island Jumper is what I'm thinking. Like this would just be their name colloquially. They call themselves Jumper or Island Jumper, right? And it's a Tabaxi monk. Let's go, I don't know, 24-year-old Tabaxi monk. Yeah, 24-year-old Tabaxi monk who has trained their body. I have not decided on a gender yet either. I have kind of 50-50 on it, as gender usually is. I have a couple of characters. Like, I wrote an entire essay in college about a specific character that I kind of threw into this that was entirely non-binary, and I plan on including a few of those, but I think we're gonna go her here. I don't know. Feels right. 24-year-old Tabaxi monk who has trained her body to be aerodynamic. Trained her body to be as aerodynamic and flexible as possible. Has trained in combat, however, now spends her days hopping between islands. As an explorer and as an explorer. Free-spirited, relaxed. Yeah, free-spirited, relaxed. Let's go for the 4 personality traits that I've been doing. Calm, free-spirited, unbothered, and I don't know. Very blunt. We'll go with that. I don't like making one-dimensional characters, and I want them to have at least something. Train your body to be as aerodynamic and flexible as possible. Is trained in combat, however, spends their days hopping between islands as an explorer. Known colloquially. How do you spell colloquially? I know it's not like that. C-L-O-L-L. Okay. I was mostly spelling it right. I just kept forgetting the second L. Okay. Known colloquially as Jumper. Or Island Jumper. Due to her habits and her abilities and habits between islands. Alright, I have to explain the whole island jumping thing. Owns a customized surfboard with handles and spots to hold, with handles and straps. Her feet and limbs. Her limbs into place. And uses her monk abilities. Uses her monk abilities to take off at inconceivable at frankly incredible speeds. You know, we'll just go incredible speeds. Yeah, owns a customized surfboard with handles and straps to hold her limbs and uses her monk abilities to take off at incredible speeds. Use this surfboard and her momentum to hop from one island next. The surfboard itself is engraved with runes that both increase durability, decrease weight, and decrease friction to further keep her momentum over the open ocean. Takes off at roughly 400 miles an hour. We'll say 200 miles an hour. Roughly 200 miles an hour from 0. Wears a skin-tight bodysuit with a helmet made out of there's a skin-tight bodysuit to decrease drag. Into the suit with a and wears a helmet. Force my magic to protect her eyes and ears while traveling. And colloquially as Jumper, Island Jumper due to abilities and habits of hopping between islands whenever she feels like it. Is registered under the Explorers Union and is one of the few who have made it to whale class as a solo. As a solo recruit. Yeah. Let's say solo recruit, maybe. It's registered under the Explorers Union as one of the few who have made it to solo. As a solo recruit. However, she is unreliable due to being impossible to find, rarely taking quests, and overall her own curiosity over any given duties. Okay, so this is Island Jumper, 24-year-old Tabaxi monk, jumps between islands by using that very specified D&D, like, jump from 0 to 200 miles per hour without any other specific help, and uses that momentum to hop between islands using a specialized surfboard. Is incredibly free-spirited, and is registered, but, however, is incredibly unreliable. Okay. I like this character a lot. I've had this idea in my head for a long time, and I'm glad it's out on paper, in quotations. She's one of the few who have made it to whale class as a solo recruit. She's unreliable due to being console fine, rarely taking quests, and overall valuing her own curiosity over any given duties. She specializes in exploration. He specializes in exploration over rescue. Alright, I think I like this so far. It's specific kind of character and kind of one-dimensional, but I like where it went. Alright, back to the encounter table now. I'm actually going to edit this significantly. For one, we can just get rid of ship troubles and add lore. We're gonna change combat encounter to just hostile. Weather effect to just weather. And then we're gonna go miscellaneous. we'll go miscellaneous, and then we'll go that. And then, yeah, it's actually, weather's supposed to be on the bottom, but you know what, whatever. It's close enough. Now, I think in terms of this, I'm honestly just fixing this so that it looks correct for me. When it comes to weather effect, we do have hailstorm. We'll just, I don't really, snowstorm is just like another thing. Interesting. Yeah, hailstorm. We have heat wave. We have illusory fog. We have painted rain, which is here. We have slime rain, which is here. Thunderstorm here. Variable dust storm here. White squall here. Okay, everything is correct with this. Then we can go into hostile. I think these need a few name changes and everything. We have crab wave. Giant shark. Goblin looter cruiser. Yeah. Harpy nest. Not an island, just a nest. An outcropping, really, more than anything. That is so wrong at every level. Okay. Harpy nest. Then the joint naval forces. Corrupt joint naval forces. Then Kraken's here. Pirate ship is here. Undersea scavengers is here. Okay. Scavengers. And then we have Kraken. Okay. I'm getting rid of this because I've changed the encounter significantly. Alright, we can get rid of this entirely. And then for this, we have miscellaneous. I have merchant ship. I have miscellaneous. Okay, I should only have 6 here, which is interesting. Okay. So it should be... You know what, honestly? Row, add row after. Alright. We're just going to go through all of these, because most of them are going to be... Yeah. We'll go... Mirage Island is one of them. We'll go... Ghost ship should be here somewhere. Ghost ship should be here somewhere. This still says National Navy, which is the old name. Joint Naval Forces. Joint Naval Forces. The lore piece is going to be something that we move to a different thing. Okay. We can delete that too. The lore piece is going to be something that we move down here. Same with washed away person is actually going to be a different thing. Mirage Island, Joint Naval Forces, Ghost Ship, another group of adventurers, merchant ship. Unregistered floating island does not make any sense. I don't like it, so I don't keep it. Slip into ethereal plane also does not make any sense. Captured by sky people and captured by an underwater race are both lore events. Oh my god. Captured by sky people and captured by an underwater race. Okay. We can delete both of these, and then that should be almost everything, except the stowaways, right? Row after stowaway. Alright, I'll have a list of stowaways eventually, but, alright. 1, 2, This becomes 3. This becomes 4. This becomes 5. All right. And then this needs to get changed into... Explorers. Union. Party. All right. There we go. That should be everything, right? I'm just going to change that to just Mirage Island. Mirage Island appears. Alright. Now, I think we have weather, we have hostile encounters, we have taken out this entire ship trouble category because it's bad. We can also take out the top layer of that, and that, and that. Alright. We have hostile encounter, we have weather, we have miscellaneous. Now we have we have to fill out this miscellaneous tab a bit better. And then we have to finish up the lore tab. So I need 2 ideas for just a miscellaneous encounter. Just something that could happen randomly to anyone, really, just on the ocean. What if the magic just swirling under the ocean just creates something random, right? It's just something happens into the ocean, like something gets dunked into the ocean, or something, like just some random thing happens from the ocean. What could randomly pop out of the ocean? You know, honestly, that might be something to add to Hostile. Maybe I can move the Kraken into Conditional. And then, here, hold on. I have something to add to Hostile, actually. Surprise elementals. So, I do have an idea for this, right? What was the thing I was going here? Yeah, just quick explanation. The magical nature of the sea, the painted sea. Sea begin. Oh god, fucking damn it. I hate these people. The magical nature of the painted sea began. Magical water in the painted sea began swirling under the party's boat due to the disturbance in the water. Creating beings of elemental variety. All right, so let's go like 3 to 5, right? I know I was supposed to be doing other stuff, but like, yeah, just go enemy spreads. No, I don't want to. No, enemy spreads. 3 to 5 elementals. Of various elements. Magical water then begins whirling under the party's boat to do creating beings of elemental variety. With no thoughts. 3 to 5 elementals of various elements. And then enemy behaviors. Okay, so I'm thinking like, give me a thing for elementals. D&D elemental stat block. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we can just do these. Air, earth. Oh, those are all bad. Air, earth, fire, and water elementals. Could spawn. Roll for each. Roll for each elemental. Thoughtless beings of destruction. Yeah, honestly, that's what they are. Yeah, thoughtless beings of destruction, pretty much. I mean, I needed more of these, right? Just enemies that the party will in fact kill, right? Because this is just a wave of enemies. This will run away. This will run away. This might run away, but will probably get killed. This could run away. This could run away, and these will get killed. But I pretty much only have like these 3 or these 4 that could theoretically that won't like try to run away. These only run back to their like rocky outcropping or nest or anything. And then yeah, I just need more. I need more like things where they will not retreat. And like granted, it'll still give the party like experience. I won't take away the fact that they didn't go through that or anything. But okay. Now I need to edit the full table again, because the Kraken being a thing. I keep forgetting how to spell surprise. How do I spell this again? Surprise. It is S-U-R-P-R-I-S-E. Okay. But yeah, this way, whatever. Okay, I need to focus. I know I'm supposed to be working on the encounter table, but this is not the way that I want to work on the encounter table. Okay. So, I need 2 more, right? 2 more ideas for the miscellaneous tab. This could be fun. Hold on. You know what? Let's go this. Random loop drop. Okay, now hear me out. What I'm thinking is that, again, I want these events to like generally be related to either the sea or the story. Like either the sea or the setting, right? Either the sea is causing this or the setting is causing this. Why is this happening, right? Now, if we like go through all of these, hostile, a lot of these are just things that existed in the sea before and are just acting differently, or things like the Joint Naval Forces or the pirate ship or anything like that are because of the setting, right? This is because of the sea, this is because of the sea, this is because of the sea, this is because of the sea. This is buffed because of the sea. A lot of these, they have reasons behind it. It's either the setting or the sea, right? Same with the weather. Crazy because of the sea, crazy because of the sea, crazy because of the sea. These are all varied and different because of the magical nature of the sea, right? And it's the same with these. You're encountering this because of the setting. You're encountering this because of the story. You're encountering this because of the setting. This because of the story. Or also the setting. This is from the story. And the stowaway is also, just a normal ship thing to happen. It's the one thing that isn't really related to either, right? I don't have any miscellaneous events relating to the actual sea. So what I'm thinking for miscellaneous is that, the magic energy, the magical energy held by the painted sea, got disturbed by the party's vessel, started swirling around and creating a magic item. that will shoot out of the sea and land on the party's vessel. To its magical nature, due to its inherently less chaotic nature than the rest of the Painted Sea. Yeah. So what I'm thinking is these next two ones I'd like to have related to how the sea is working and functioning. So that, this is, for one, something that's very beneficial to the party, and I can just start either coming up with ideas or throwing item ideas into here that the party, this will be like one of the ways that the party can actually gain magic items, right? Like some easiest things to put in here, right? One of the items in the loot table below will spawn for the party. Will be created for the party. Like, you know what? For the amount of options we have on here, right? Like, I basically have to roll a d6 to choose one of these, and that has to land on miscellaneous. Then I have to roll another d8 for it to land on random loot drop, right? And I want these all to be, like, things that, like, granted, I refuse to do, like, doubles anything past, like, I don't know, 2 after. So, like, I could, like, get random loot drop, random event, then another random loot drop. They can't be within 3 of each other, right? But, this is something that I don't mind doing every now and then. It'll be a nice bonus for the party to have, and I want the Painted Sea to be a lot more mysterious and a lot more, like, mysterious, chaotic. You never really know what you're gonna get when you go out there, than what it used to be, which was just straight up, everything hates you, right? Like, with the weather, right? All of these, like White Squall, Thunderstorm, Slime Rain, Illusory Fog, Heatwave, Hailstorm, these are all bad. I'm noticing. There are challenges for the party to conquer, so to say, right? And granted, when it comes to weather and hostile, it's supposed to be that way. But some of them, like the Painted Rain or anything like that, can very well be beneficial. Like, anything that's coming from the sea itself. I don't necessarily think that, like, the merchant ship or anything like that, especially in this miscellaneous tab, I want to have a reason to be like, okay, this sea isn't dangerous, it is purely neutral when it comes to everything. It is a purely chaotic being. And I call it a being for reasons. But anyways, and eventually, I get to make a table. Hold on. Yeah. Yep. Number. Item. Like some very easy items to put in here, right? Bag of holding. Immovable rod. I can just, like, these are obviously the two that I immediately think of, right? Like, sure, I could throw the deck of many things in here. I don't think I'm going to, even though I'm actively writing it. I'm just going to keep it in there just to, keep it in mind. Because the deck of many things destroys many a campaign every time it's introduced, right? So yeah, it's just, and this is also where I can take these bad item ideas. Like this Amulet of Protection or Sword of Destiny or anything like that. If anybody has any item ideas or anything like that, I can throw them in here as well. I don't know, it'll be a fun way to introduce new magical items to the party every now and then. And honestly, there's a straight up chance that the party just never gets this. But you know, it's a nice thing to have, right? What time is it? 1:41? Okay. That's random loot drop done. I don't plan on filling out this... I plan on filling out this table over time. It's a lot of, like, the details with these, like, stat blocks and everything like that. That's something that I fill out over time, right? Maybe on my own time, maybe on stream. Who knows at this point, right? Okay. And then I need one more, right? We're just gonna call this loot drop. I don't think I need the random in front of it. Yeah, I'll link to all of these sooner rather than later. But okay, I need one more. Something that comes out of the Painted Sea that isn't necessarily bad or good. A lot of these are good. Like, this one could be bad, this one could be bad. Excuse me. This one could be pretty bad, but could also be good. A lot of these are, like, more neutral. And I want the lore one to be, like, mostly good, I guess. Or not necessarily good, but, like, information, right? The lore is basically going to be, if this rolls on it, if it gets a very specific thing, it's going to derail the entire mission, right? So, I need one more. What are we thinking? Something having to do with the Painted Sea. How does the Painted Sea react? Like, I don't want this to be a weather effect or like an enemy effect or anything like that. Just something that the Painted Sea could just, like, cause. Let me think. I don't know. I'm gonna need a lot more ideas for this. Interesting. I don't care, dude. Just need to think. What could the Painted Sea generate or change or do? Could always, like, That idea is something to put in lore. I'll keep that in the back of my head. That's the next thing I'll probably make. I don't know. Maybe I could use this as a way to generate a pet for the party? Like make a little water dog. Or a water cat or something. That could work. Here, hold on. Vessel familiar. This is interesting, right? Basically, what I'm thinking is... Somewhere in the deep ocean, or somewhere in the water under the party's boat, a creature takes notice. Something that has been heavily modified and altered by the Painted Sea that just kind of hops up onto the boat, right? No aggression, no anything. Just a thing, right? It's like... It would be like something pretty small, like on 4 legs, that is like completely made out of the painted sea, right? Or the painted water. And it's like constantly like changing forms between like a cat, a dog, a fox, maybe like axolotl type thing. Like it doesn't necessarily have a specific form, but it was obviously like a pet of some kind before this all happened, right? Let's think. Creature. Creature inhabiting the sea, the painted sea, takes notice of the party's vessel and hops on. Takes notice of the hops on due to its curiosity. Decides on its own. This is a pretty nice place. A pretty nice place to hang out. It stows itself away onto the boat. And proceeds to make itself at home. Self at home, regardless of the party's decisions. Cool. This will be a fun thing. Creature has no name. Its appearance. This creature looks like some sort of four-legged mammal. But it is entirely made out of water from the painted sea. This creature looks like some sort of four-legged animal, but is entirely made out of water from the painted sea. Made out of water from the painted sea. Its form shifts as it moves. Cat-like features. Dog. Its form shifts as it moves. I mean, I guess the closest you can probably compare it to is like Vaporeon, I guess. I think I will have to shoot someone in the face if... Oh, that might be against Twitch guidelines. If somebody decides to do some stuff with the funny water dog, I'm gonna have to get violent. For the paces, its form shifts as it moves. Cat-like features, dog-like features, some aquatic features, and some aquatic features. Like fins and gills. Creature looks like some sort of four-legged mammal, but is made entirely out of water from the painted sea. Its form shifts as it moves between cat-like features, dog-like features, and some aquatic features like fins and gills. And the funny thing is, if they ever roll this twice, which is really highly unlikely, I can just throw a second one on there that's a slightly different color. And eventually, somehow, if they build up enough, they could just have like a small army of dudes. I think that's fun, right? Hello, how's it going? Right, I am honestly just writing my D&D campaign. I'm going through my whole encounter table, because it's like an oceanic plane. It's an oceanic plane where the water has been very highly magically induced, I guess you could call it. And I have to go through a bunch of different encounter table stuff because the party's going to be traveling over it, right? Bunch of different things going on, but if you have any ideas, let me know. Otherwise, you can just enjoy hearing me talk to myself. Or any questions I'll answer. I have nothing going on other than this. This creature looks like some sort of four-legged mammal, but is entirely made out of water from the painted sea. Its form shifts as it moves between cat-like features, dog-like features, and aquatic features like fins and gills. Oh, I don't want to deal with that. This creature. This creature, after encountering, will proceed to inhabit to mostly inhabit the party's vessel. When it is hungry, it will dive off the side of the boat for a random amount of time. Will always come back eventually. Every time you re-encounter this one, another one shows up. Alright, you know what? I'm pretty happy with that. I think I got to 8 in the miscellaneous tab. All of them have reasons for happening, and all of them have functional purposes, right? Terax is a good name for a villain. I have been stuck on this name for a while. Interesting. Well, I'll be totally honest with you. Sci-fi is kind of out of my specialty. I can't really even call it a specialty. I'd call it more of my experience. I have like some things that like slightly relate to it. Like I have Magitech that uses like a runic system, but Terax. Let me think. Terax. Do I have a character that I can name that? I don't necessarily think I'd name a villain after it, but what about this? I have a couple organizations that are like very prevalent in this campaign. One of them is basically like the Adventurers and Merchants Guild combined. The other is a military force, and then the third is a scholarly type of thing. I have a bunch of parties that I need to fill out under the Explorers Union. And Terax seems like a pretty good name for a character who like leads a party of greedy adventurers, only ever doing it for the money. Morals aside, right? What do you think? Party made up of 5 adventurers. Party's made up of 5 adventurers from different backgrounds. Different backgrounds. Who came together to make money through the Explorers Union. Explorers Union. Through the Explorers Union and Collective of Plenty. I won't link this yet. To make money through these. They are only in it for the money. For the money. And push morals aside. Nexarch means somewhat Deathbringer, and Terax means sun in a way. Nexarch means... Is there a specific language that you're using to, like, find these definitions? Like, because I would immediately think, like, Latin or something. Nezarach? But I don't recognize necessarily that. Nope. Okay. Nezarach means somewhat Deathbringer, and Terax means sun in a way. I'm looking at different cool meaning of words. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I'm gonna have to start doing that eventually since I have to start naming characters soon. Been kind of just giving them titles because I'm bad at naming. It's kind of why I have a naming scheme for my islands that makes good names, but they aren't very creative. Let me think. It's a Deathbringer? Son of a Deathbringer. That does give me an idea. Hold on. Here. So I have an island already based around the idea of undeath and rebirth. It's something that, like, due to the storm, and he uses the power of death and undead. Okay. Yeah, this gives me an idea. So, due to the events of this campaign, basically, parties all doing other stuff on this, like, island-based oceanic campaign. Magical fueled storm happens, magically induces the sea, or just magically affects the sea in a very big way, and then shuffles the party 2 months into the future, just onto this random island, right? And I'm having this magical storm just affect a bunch of the different islands. And due to that effect, this island here, Ethreerb, Rebirth, by the way, is an island that's just affected by a rule of undeath, to where people just cannot die and would be revived 5 to 10 minutes later if you do die on the island. Interesting. I like the idea of maybe either naming the mayor that, like mayor or like leader of the village or something like that, who, because the sci-fi novel I'm making it, I think it would be a good name. I also like the name. Terrax is like, especially in sci-fi, it makes a lot of sense. When you're thinking of like sci-fi names, or at least when I'm thinking, like when I think of like, how do I put this? Yeah, so he brings back ancient being back from the dead. Okay. Like, when I think of, like, sci-fi names and everything like that, especially if it's, like, otherworldly alien kind of sci-fi names, you're thinking of very, like, harsh-sounding, like, Terrax, or, like, think of all the names. Like, they're very, like, harsh-sounding, like, very loud, very prominent vowels with, like, X's and K's and, like, very prominent and, like, abrupt sounds. And when you think of, like, fantasy names, like, a lot of them are very, like, roll off the tongue kind of thing. Very soft vowels, everything like that. So I absolutely think it's a very good sci-fi name. I like it a lot. Like Nexarok as well, or Nezarok. I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced, but, like, Nezarok, or anything like that. It's a lot of harsh vowels, right? And a lot of, like, stopping points in the word. So, yeah, no, I definitely think it's a good thing. But, let's see, Terrax. Yeah, I think that I could probably just name the leader of that here. But I really like the idea. Honestly, I don't know if you're, like, offering the idea from, say, like, yeah, Vegeta or Kakarot. Yeah, it's very similar to that, now that I think about it. I mean, I don't know if I would... I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched Dragon Ball, but the little that I've seen with it, it seems closer to futuristic than fantasy. So that does make sense. Vegeta, Kakarot, Goku. Yeah, those are very, like, I guess, very a lot words with a lot of intonation. Where, like, the intonation is very much on the consonants instead of the vowels, but the vowels are very prominent, right? Okay. Yeah, I really like it. I think it's cool. I think that it's a little difficult for me to use the name, because in fantasy it's a little... You want the words to, like, more flow than anything. But yeah. I think it's cool. I quite like it. Adrenaline junkies. Eventually, after the revives person can become a hollowed one. Yeah, we could have in quest ideas. It becomes a moral decision. Mayor of the town might be forcing the rule of undeath due to a crippling fear of undeath. Fear of dying and wanting to live forever, but at the same time would be torturing his people and slowly destroying their souls. Could be named. Also made him a scientist where he uses corpses and all that kind of stuff to make like superhumans and conquer worlds. Interesting. I'll be totally real. Don't know what a scientist is. To make superhumans to conquer worlds. Could be named Terax. Or is it T-E or T-A? Scientist. Oh, okay. That makes more sense. It's Terax, not Terax. Terax. Alright. I get that, yeah. So you're thinking, like, instead of, like... Yeah, like, using a scientist where he, like, takes apart corpses, like, kind of like a Frankenstein thing, but super mindless and only makes, like, super soldiers. And he uses, like, an army of those, like Frankenstein-esque, like, strong super soldiers, like, go and, like, conquer worlds and shit. Okay, okay. I really like that idea. What you could do with that, this is just my suggestion, if you're listening, is that eventually down the line, I don't know if you're, like, writing a book or doing a D&D campaign or just writing a story because you want to write a story, but you could eventually have a plot point where there are parts of the souls of the people who are stuck in there are, like, fighting to get out because, like, you know, they all have different minds and different reflexes and everything like that, and they eventually just break apart at the seams. Yeah, it's more of a fantasy idea because when it comes to sci-fi, introducing the concept of a soul is a little difficult, but it's something to think about. I mean, you could have it be more of a scientific explanation of all of these limbs were connected to a different brain at some point, and at the end of the day, those little habits, those little inflections of muscles, eventually just fight so much with everything else that they just tear everything apart. And, like, your main character could say something like, oh, the souls of these people are fighting back and everything, when in reality, it's just a lot of muscle memory. You could also go that route. And that way, you might be able to keep the sci-fi theme a little bit better. Just a thought. As you can tell with how many ideas I have a lot of them. Not all of them are good. Alright, I need to go back to this. I think I have... Yeah, I have... Okay, I finished Miscellaneous. I need to go through Lore. Now, Lore is going to be the hardest one. I do have an idea for Lore. But, Embodiment of the Painted Sea. Embodiment of the Painted Sea. I have an idea there. I have... What were my 3 things? Oh yeah, I need to go... Oh. But yeah, tell me more about your story, dude. It sounds really interesting. I like it quite a lot. What did I call it? I completely forgot. Alright. Miscellaneous. Lore piece. Interesting. Piece of Magitech. Washed up piece of Magitech. Or I might just go washed up ruin. Make it to where it could be a piece of Magitech. Rename his own planet that he organized from planet Vanthrazoth, Terra Dominus. Vanthrazoth means the doom that burns the world, and Terra Dominus means ruler of all land. Okay. I like that quite a lot. Again, I'm seeing more of the hard consonances and very pronounced vowels. Vanzaroth or Vanthrazoth. Dominus. Yeah. I mean, Dominus is a little closer to this, but it's interesting to see the difference. Washed Up Ruin, Embodiment of the Painted Sea. Also made him rename his own planet that he organized from planet Vanthrazoth. Terra Dominus. Vanthrazoth means the doom that burns the world. And Terra Dominus means the world. I really like that. It means that, like, you could go Terra Dominus is just, like, another kind of thing. Yeah, Terra meaning land, Dominus meaning ruler. It makes sense. You could have, like, probably a warring nation that also uses Terra Dominus, but instead of using, like, Vanthrazoth, like... I don't know if you're going with, like, one big bad villain, or if you're going, like, Warhammer style, where it's, like, everyone sucks, except for your main character, of course. You could probably just use one big bad. Okay. That makes more sense. Because, like, if you were thinking of another big bad, you could have another person rename their planet to be, like, just a different Terra Dominus with, like, something other than Vanthrazoth. Interesting. Well, you know what? Tell me about your main character. It sounds like you have a pretty fleshed out villain at this point. They are a scientist who is entirely focused on progress, who is doing incredibly unethical and immoral things to make these super soldiers where he's just taking over planet after planet after planet, right? And renaming all of them, renaming his own planet to Vanthrazoth Terra Dominus. And honestly, one thing you could do is have him constantly be renaming planets to being something like, I don't know if there's like an inverse of Dominus, but you could go like Vanthrazoth Terra blank. Or not necessarily Vanthrazoth, but like Terra, I don't know what the inverse of Dominus is, but you could have like, instead of it being ruler of the land, it would be like a subjugate of the land. A subjugate, right? But anyways, it seems like you have a really well fleshed out villain. What's your main character up to? What's they doing? I like to think I come up with those sometimes. Ambushed by sky survivors. Okay. I have that one. What was the other one? Underwater race. Okay. I don't like any of these. I have an island specifically for an underwater race. I want at least 3 more under lore, but Monument of the Painted Sea, Ambushed by Sky Survivors, Washed Up Ruin. Washed Up Ruin could be a variety of different things. What's something that the Painted Sea could create? Let me think. I need other lore pieces, right? Something that could just happen that increases the ability to lore. Just increases the like overall story and lore of the campaign. Let's go through my concepts. Magical Forest Island, previously Forest Social confused subscription created joint military and first ruler weapons, previously subcon. Working with power. That is no longer a concept, that is literally a working premise. Underground Thieves, Island split in half, Island Magistorm each side, Feywilds Island with gremlins and secret shiny stuff. Bullshit item seller uses wordplay to sell things that don't actually work. What's in lore dump right now? That was the entire thingy. Washed Up Ruin takes up a lot of what's going on. Ambushed by Sky Survivors, Embodiment of the Painted Sea, Washed Up Ruin. Could go maybe... Main character's name to start is Adrenthos, which means eternal and powerful. He grew up on the planet that was renamed to Vanthrazoth, Terra Dominus, and he is a rebel who fights back to take back his homeworld. It's a very dark type of novel because all the blood and death, mercy. Yeah. I see. Nessary? Okay. So if I'm getting this right, your general like plot layout of the book, right, or the novel, is introduced to like main villain or introduced to main character. Main villain takes over his entire world and rename it, everything like that. Do you have a previous name for it? If so, I'd love to hear it. But like previous name for the world that eventually turns back into. Either MC goes into hiding on the main planet or gets shoved off by the other planet, and then what is your idea for like, because obviously you need to have like a moment where the character gets like stronger or finds some way to beat the main guy, like either finds a weakness, gets stronger, or like all that. Because I mean, when we go to the storytelling wheel, which I have memorized, or not memorized at all, nowhere close, but at least understand implicitly, you gotta have like introduce main character, introduce main villain, you have call to action, which is him. I have not gotten so far yet. Okay. All right. I really like the idea. I think it has a lot going for it. You have a main force that you have to contend with. You have a main character who has a reason to be fighting back. Working on the world and how it's built. Okay, yeah. I'd recommend starting there. It's kind of what I'm doing with this. You're kind of building up the world so that whenever you start to actually write the story, it works, right? So then here's the next question. Are you planning on having the entire novel being set on this one planet? Or are you going to have like a system where it's set in, right? Where you have like other planets where this might be a little ahead of schedule in terms of like what you're thinking, but like, yes. Does yes mean one world, one planet? Okay. So then that means the character goes into hiding. That's honestly probably a good thing. If you only have one planet, that's one setting to work on. That's probably good. I have about 18 settings to work on. They aren't as big of a planet, but they're all different ideas. Okay. Then, next question. For this world, right? Are you going the, like, tech dystopia kind of outcome, or are you going pure desolation? Because I know that Vanthrazoth is the doom that burns worlds, right? Are you thinking like maybe both? Okay, so you're like parts of the planet are in complete and total ruin, and then the other parts of the planet that are like controlled and are being developed are just like tech dystopian. Is that what I'm getting? Am I getting that right? Okay. So like, okay, that's a good start then. Because you could have the characters like main home, that's your call to action there. If you want to do it this way. This would be a little stereotypical, but at the end of the day, stereotype means that it's good. I've always thought that, but you could go, characters like town and family are all wiped out, and he hides away in this like rebel base or area that is just hidden in one of these like desolated areas. And over the course of the book, like I would assume like you have some sort of rebel force that is doing like either repeated raids or is like slowly gathering power in the sidelines, where the character like shows up there, like kind of like Dune, right? I don't know too much about Doom, but I know that they have the like force that is rising up against the like super militaristic, super tech dystopian thing, right? This character shows up to this resistance movement, slowly learns like how to fight, how to fight the power, right? And all of that, how to like use the correct machinery and like get off the grid and everything like that. And slowly over the course of the book, they develop relationships with like the leader, the like thing. You could always have a love story. No story has ever gone wrong with a love story, right? But you don't necessarily need to. I think they're overrated anyways. And then your character slowly goes on more missions. They see their comrades die around them. So you get that like blood and gore and like very dark type of thing. And then slowly then like eventually you get to the point where like a massive tragedy happens. It either like most of the entire force is wiped out or anything. Like you get to the point where it's building in action, and the like crux point of the entire story is when the rebel army, like that original planet is the meaning of Vithorial Terra, and Vithorial means light, hope, creation, and divine order is what it's originally called. Okay, I see. Are you thinking like Vithorial Terra, and Vithorial, which means light, hope, creation, and all of that? Yeah, the land of light, hope, creation, and divine order. So are you having like a religious aspect when it comes to that? Because when I think light, hope, creation, divine order, like you could have like okay, so you do have like a religious type of thing going on. That could be your founding of the rebel group, where like this villain thinks that religion is a lie, and that believing in believing in this type of belief system, that it'll just all work out as thing. Like when I really like villains, I like it when they have a genuine like real reason to do what they do, right? Having a bad guy be bad for no reason is I don't know, how do I put it, kind of incongruent to real life. So you could go with the angle of you could go with the angle of maybe the planet being super overpopulated, and like before Terrax just like destroyed the entire thing, right? And before Terrax just like raised the entire thing, everything like that. And this planet was very focused on religious beliefs, and how if they just got through their famine, if they got through this drought, if they just made it through and believed this is, and everything would just work out in the end. And this guy thought, oh, we need to do something. We need to start doing anything. So he thought, okay, we need to raise like low income areas. We need to raise areas with really high crime and everything like that. Just like start executing criminals one by one. And like he has a genuine reason for doing all of this stuff, but the reasoning isn't very good. And you can kind of have an internal conflict with the character. Like, I don't know how old you plan on making your main character be. Yeah, he has a warped vision of what order is. Yeah. He sees, population as a number. He sees the people under him as a statistic to be upheld instead of genuine people. And it's why he's like raising the planet. And then, like, how old do you plan on making, what's the name of the main character? I already forgot. Sorry. Ardenthos. How old do you plan on making Ardenthos? Because you could 140. Okay. So this is like a long-lived species that's like figured out, like, is 140 like still young in your universe? Okay. So, let me think. See, the original angle I was going with was, your character is very young and immature at the start, and then over the course of the novel, they learn more and more about what's going on in the world around them. Like, immediately when they start thinking, like, man, this man is doing all these terrible things, this evil bastard is doing all of these terrible things, and eventually you slowly realize that, oh, this world is incredibly flawed. And it's kind of hard to do that when you live for 140 years, right? When I try and think of, like, a character, right, a main character, you got to have character growth. And 140, unless you were really sheltered for those 140 years, it's hard to really put it into perspective. It's why, like, elves have always been, like, a secondary race, right? In, like, fantasy things. You never want the main character to be an elf, because it's hard to rationalize somebody who's 140 years old and very deep set in their own beliefs to really make, like, a character development happen throughout the story. Like, what you could do is have, like, is Ardenthos, right? Is this somebody that was wealthy or somebody that was poor? What is the background of Ardenthos? Well, yeah. It's young for the villain because he controls death. But, like, and you can have a warped scale of time, but at the end of the day, being alive for 140 years means it's 140 years. He is old in normal person eyes, yes. Let's go back to, like, the initial question. Are we, like, what's the financial, social standing of Ardenthos? Okay, main character is about 23. You can reason that for sure. Like, over time, over the course of human civilization, I could absolutely see it. Because, like, my idea for this now is this character was raised and... Like, this character was born and raised in, like, a very, like, well-to-do household in this thing, where a lot of the problems, and thank you for the follow, by the way, a lot of the characters a lot of the people that this person's interact with are very well-to-do. The problems of this world aren't affecting them or anything like that, and he's been raised in this household for 140 years. And then this guy takes over and is like, yeah, we're raising the entire population. Screw all of you. And even though this person was very wealthy, they lived in a very crime-ridden district. So the villain raises the entire district. He's like, how dare they? And then slowly, over the course of the story, he, like, finds out, oh, this world is incredibly flawed for those without this financial and social standing, right? It's a little cliche, sure, but it's commentary, it's actual character growth, and it's kind of one of the only ways that I could think of character growth for somebody who is, like, sure, 23, like, sure, like, 23 in the eyes of other people, but, like, yeah, he was poor and he was treated like shit, so he wants his own warped vision of order and utopia, but he never cares for human life. Own vision of order and utopia, but never cares for human life. Is this the villain or the hero? Is this Terrax or is this Ardenthos? Because I think that this could be a cool backstory for the villain. If you had him be really poor, but, like, a genius in terms of scientific engineering, you could do something like that, right? And then have this guy be it's like a cool dichotomy. Because if you have the hero be, like, poor and everything, the entire time he's just going to be fighting for the same shit, right? He knew all of these problems, and he's 140 and hasn't really done anything, and his only real motivation would be to, his only motivation would be, oh, my home was destroyed, right? Without the home being, like... you could make the argument for this thing. This is Nezarek he's the villain. Oh, okay, cool. The villain is poor. The villain was poor, was scientifically intelligent and everything like that. but was incredibly scientifically intelligent, has a warped vision of order, and was like, I'm going to restore order and peace to this nation regardless of the cost, and then just raise the entire fucking thing, right? Yeah. And then main character, I think you could do for the backstory, this is only my suggestion, it is your story at the end of the day, you could make him, like, not necessarily an incredibly wealthy aristocrat, but, like, the son of a wealthy aristocrat who was running a district that was very high crime, that was embezzling money towards his own, towards his own pockets, right? And Nezarec raised the entirety of this, warped thing. And you can have the, like, main character be likable and, like, go out and, like, in the, like, beginning sequence of the story, like, go and, like, meet the characters, go out and, like, meet non-player characters, side characters, everything like that. Like, go out and meet with them, talk to them, buy stuff from them, and, like, generally act like a nice guy, but overall is very naive and very immature and just does not know a lot about the world around him because he was very sheltered as a kid. And then suddenly his entire town is razed and he somehow survives by hiding, like, basement of a building and crawls his way out. And he's like, why would somebody ever do this? And then slowly, eventually, of course, he wanders the desolation for a while, no food, no water. He could either collapse or he finds, like, a rebel base or anything like that. He works with them throughout the midpoint of the story, or probably, like, early to mid. Rising action, right? Like, works with the rebel group, goes on raid missions, goes on that, learns a lot more, has, like, maybe a friend that he finds or anything like that. And either you could have a massive raid done by the entire rebel force against them and they are completely wiped out, or suddenly, middle of the night, just have the Terrax or whatever raise the entire encampment while they're asleep. This will be another, like, character-defining moment. His friend dies, his love interest dies, anything like that. Or maybe his love interest lives, his really close friend dies. And he finds out that maybe there was a tracker in the back of his neck or something. Or something like that. And really defining character moment, he feels awful. He feels it entirely... He feels like there's no fighting, there's no giving up. Then there's, of course, the character moment. Be a revenge story where he ends Nizarek's Terrax because he killed his entire family because they did not follow his rule. Interesting. If you want to make it a revenge story, you kind of have to go one in two ways, right? There's the very stereotypical revenge doesn't always work or anything like that. Like, revenge doesn't always work and he, like, teams up with the good guys and saves the day, which doesn't seem like the theme of what you're going for. Or you go with the other fact of he gets revenge and power vacuum, one tyrant is replaced with another. You know what? How about this? What do you want your story to have, a good or a bad ending? Because when we're talking about, like, a really gory and bad, you want it to be a bad ending. Okay, then I really like this. Because what you can do bad, dark, really bad ending. What you could do is, after all of this build-up, after the character, like, is just constantly seeking revenge or anything like that, and just eventually, finally gets to the point where he kills Terrax. No matter how you build it up or anything like that, he doesn't open himself up to people or anything like that. He just is constantly sheltered and everything like that. And then you jump forward, I don't know, 2 months to 2 years later, one tyrant has replaced another. Or either he has become the tyrant, or one tyrant has replaced another, or another tyrant is replaced over him and he's just killed by a shot in the back from a random guy, right? He gets up, he fights through his entire forces, he goes to try and kill Terrax or anything like that, and then right at the very beginning, shot in the back by one of the rebels. or shot in the back by just a random dude. Make the story ending really unsatisfying. If you want it to be a bad and a dark ending and a commentary on like just life in general, really, you could go either route. You could either have him become the tyrant and just let the story breathe in infamy and just have it be one cycle. It's just a cycle of tyranny. Or you could just have it be full betrayal shot in the back at the very end. I think either of those could work. And then the story ends as the hero fades to black, and then you get, as the hero's vision fades to black, and you get a little scene or blurb from, like, maybe the love interest, maybe a friend, maybe something like that. And you get, like, something. You get, like, a little blurb on how nothing changed. The entire world was... He eventually went on to conquer the entire solar system, and just now lives in infamy, right? Ardenthos kills Terex, where he sees the world slowly fall because the only rule that was there was killed, and the world falls into chaos, where he sees the sadness and pain in his life, where he dies. Okay, yeah, so pretty similar. Let's see. What you could do, I don't know why I'm giving so many suggestions. It's your story, but I don't know. My creative juices have been flowing today already, and you've just kind of piqued my interest with this. I'm sorry if I keep kicking the mic, by the way. But you could maybe go a route where once he kills and everything like that, do you want him to, like, try and fix his rule? Or do you want him to just kill and walk away? Because it could be even more heartbreaking if the villain's finally dead, the world can be restored to peace, and he's just a terrible leader. He tries to institute these policies, but it's just isn't working because of the terrible overpopulation. Kill and walk away. Okay. Let me think. It's harder to do. For sure. Oh, when it's simple. Okay. I mean, that does definitely demonstrate a character flaw. Because it, without a plan to replace him, definitely is just the cycle of tyranny, right? Just, we need to kill this tyrant and then have no plans in the future, right? I mean, you could still have the same storyline that I was talking about earlier, where, like, the rebel force comes into power and they're just as bad. Because they're trying to, like, it's like you can't have a one-way street when it comes to, ruling a nation, right? You can't just go either or. There's a balance in terms of being ruthless and being sincere. And the guy was obviously ruthless, and his people were in fucking shambles, but it was at least being run. And the, like, rebel force tries to, like, take over and run things in a more moral way, and it eventually just collapses because it just collapses. The entire government collapses. There's a giant power vacuum and everything like that. And if you want it simple, the main character of the first novel, because I want a second one where the rise of that is the happy ending. Interesting. I see. So you're thinking, like, two-parter, first book is a very bad ending, and then second parter is, like, it's weird, but that's how I want it. No, not necessarily. I disagree entirely. I don't think it's weird. I think that having a book ending bad to the point where you have another character and come in and fix all of the first character's mistakes is not something I've heard before, but I think it's cool. Yeah, I think Infinity War and Endgame is a bad example. Because I think there were a lot of plot holes and a lot of very bad writing that was present in Infinity War and Endgame, right? There just wasn't a lot of payoff in Endgame, if you remember. It just wasn't good. If you're going for, like, the main character was, like, completely driven by revenge and was blind to any of the other consequences to what he was doing. like a John Wick kind of thing with none of the emotional intelligence, right? Or not the emotional intelligence, but like understanding of consequences, right? And the entire story just ends in the guy's gone or anything like that. Honestly, but the ending was bad, then good, right? Yeah, Vinland Saga, there you go, that's better. Yeah. Yeah, Vinland Saga. Bad, then good. One thing that you should think about is then where do you want the first book to end, right? Because I see an argument for, especially if you're releasing the first book with the second, or maybe either way, remember, regardless of when you release it, you could have the book end right when the MC kills Terex. Like, all you have is after the entire fight, after everything that happens, you could, the entire book is just a lead up into this critical moment, and then you have no explanation for what happens after, right? Just the character walks away, and there's just no real answer on the world, on it, no real aftermath or anything like that. And then the start of the second book is just a retelling of what happened after. Like, due to his lack of insight, and lack of, I want him to kill Terex, and then I want Anthos to walk away crying as his face has no emotion. That's the end of the first. Yeah. And then, like, the start of the second book is like man, things really went to shit after that, huh? Like, you could have it be like an elder telling that to like a group of kids, or like some sort of storytelling method to like get the message across. But yeah, 10 years. Okay, only 10? I'm thinking like you could probably jump 100 or 1 or 200 into the future. Like, really exacerbate the fact that nothing changes without a real game plan. Oh, okay. 10 years later. Okay, good. I was gonna say, only 10 years does not feel like enough development could happen, right? Okay, I really need to get working on this. What time is it for me? 2:38? I have time. But, yeah. Then, honestly, now knowing that this is a two-parter book, I'm a lot more confident in your story. Because keeping the story in one book when it was, you get me, right? So yeah, I really like where your story is going. That makes sense. I've never seen Berserk. I've been meaning to watch it, but I just have not had the time recently. I am streaming, writing a campaign. I guess I have had the time. Whatever. But I think I think your story definitely has legs. I think that, Sci-Fi Berserk is what based it on, by the way. Okay, cool. Again, never seen Berserk or anything like that, so a lot of these plot points are pretty new to me. But, I mean, now understanding that is a very bloody and, blood and gore-based kind of story, I could definitely see I could absolutely see it going really well. I think that your best bet, the biggest crux as to how this story feels to the reader is the way you write Ardenthos, right? Because you have a strong concept for a villain, right? You have a very strong concept. Your villain knows exactly what they want. You have exactly as to why. Yeah, starts out dark and full of pain, but ends in peace and love. Yeah. Your story starts out really dark and everything like that. And you have a really good concept for a villain and everything like that. How you write your character. If your character is is going to be hard to make. I agree. Since you're going for a revenge story, you have to try really hard to not make the revenge look one-dimensional. Right? it Ardenthos, the way you're setting it up is like Ardenthos, I don't know if you have like a specific like way you're going to like recreate it. Yeah, so not get sword, go kill, then cry. Yeah. It's really going to depend on how you write Ardenthos, and if you're able to really like you have a call to action. You have a you have the call to action, you have everything like that, but basically you're going throughout the entire midsection of the story, getting character development, getting you're like getting character development, you're meeting new people, you're starting to understand, and then at the end of the day he makes the wrong choice. And if that wrong choice, for that wrong choice to be as impactful as you want it to be, you gotta make the character development work. Making Ardenthos lose his family, then him getting rescued by rebels. Okay, that also works. I think that if Ardenthos was like a small child, that like where he was like raised in rebels and everything like that, that could also be a thing. But I mean, also, that's tough. But yeah, I think that that emotional moment of he is faced with the option of finally killing his oppressor and everything like that. He kills him, walks away crying. You need to have an emotional build up to that with like the mid game of the story, right? You need to make sure that that emotional development, that character development is strong enough so that it actually, how do I put this? It's strong enough so that really hits, because he made the wrong decision. And then you go into the next novel saying how bad of a decision that was. And then you make him like an older character who's aged a few hundred years, and then understands suddenly, yeah, I made the wrong decision, and tells the new main character, don't make the same mistake that I did. Reminds me of Star Wars, actually, weirdly. I don't think it should, but it does. But yeah, your story definitely has legs, but the creation of the character development that Ardenthos go through is really going to make or break the emotional hit of that ending. And that's honestly, all of this advice, completely unsolicited and without any experience in writing sci-fi or actually good character writing or anything like that. But from at least an outsider's perspective looking in, I can absolutely see that, like, if the entire time, and I mean the entire time, the only thing he ever talks about is revenge. The only thing he ever does is revenge. Or anything like the only thing he ever talks about is revenge. Anytime a character tries to like educate him or like talk to him about being like a decent person or anything like that, or like start to like turn him, he just fully flips onto revenge. There is no payoff because you expected that to happen. But if you make it go too far, where like he suddenly starts to become an entirely different person, or starts to again, entirely different person, gains morals, starts to understand the reality of, oh, killing this guy might not be the best idea, and like really dives deep into it and then makes the mistake, it's going to be not very believable because he went through all of that character development. You need to go into that ending scene with an uncertainty of what he will do through a balance act, right? Slowly dies, and he blames himself for it, and that drives him insane, and he wants to kill the thing that made them die. Yeah. I think, even with the explanation of insanity, if you don't dive into the character development enough... Yeah, and I want to add depth to that, yeah. Yeah. And I think that depth is going to be having him go through the entire, that entire mid-arc of being in the Rebel Force, right? slowly start to develop a more accurate view. And you don't want him going in sure of vengeance. You don't want him going in, yeah, I want each character to have a crucial role for him. Oh, for sure. Yeah. You're basically using death as a storytelling method by having certain characters impart wisdom onto him and then dying. That would be the best thing. You need to walk that balancing act of complete blind rage and true and real character development and change. You need to walk a line where it is unsure what he will do. And you need to make it, like, suspenseful and entertaining enough that it'll be, like, a real shock when it happens, no matter what he does. Because you want to lean into the storytelling enough, like, lean into the character development enough to where, as long as no information has come out about your second novel yet, you want them to be like, oh, this is a normal story where he's not going to shoot the bad guy and everything like that. He's learned enough, he's unsure, he goes into it saying, I'll do what I have to do, and then at the very end, he becomes blind with rage and he murks the guy. And you want it to be heartbreaking. You want it to be disastrous. You don't want them to see it happening. You want it to just happen, and you want the reader to really feel it. And then you go into the next one writing all of those mistakes. And keeping that next one suspenseful will be a different challenge because you have to you could go either two routes with the character of making him totally fucking insane or actually or either totally insane or remorseful. Totally insane would be pretty good. Like, I killed him. I did it. The world is saved. And just a completely warped view of everything. Make it really sad and depressing and then slowly change it into hopeful. You're like, from what I can tell, you're kind of going, like, into a weird, like, sine curve of, or I guess cosine maybe? I don't remember which one starts out with the hump, right? You're wanting the story to be positive, and then it really drops down negative. The story starts out positive, where, sure, everything's dying, everything like that. That was to help people, and I want him to be a hero, but because of the world he lives in, it breaks his moral code until he goes insane when he finally kills in the end. People who suffers. Exactly! You want him to develop that hero complex. You want to develop the, like, I want to help people. I want to do the best for this world. And all of that. And at the end of the day, everything gets to him. He's looking at his enemy in the eyes, and he starts to hear the voices of everyone who he killed. And everything like that. And it drives him to just shoot him and walk away. Invincible. Yeah. Invincible, I assume. I've never watched Invincible. But yeah. I think that your story definitely has legs as long as you walk that line. You gotta walk that line, and it's a tightrope. You gotta get in that range where the people really think that he's gonna make the right decision. And then insanity and desperation and an overall terrible mental health is going to have him make the wrong one. And then your second novel's fixing everything and completing the story. But yeah, I think your story has a lot of legs. I think that you definitely got this. I think that you at least know what you need to do. It's down to execution now. I think you got this. Now, I need to go back to my story because I got too into imagining yours. Alright, I gotta figure this out. Yeah, I don't think the start is going to be very hard. I think you have a very, like, clear sequence of events of... The only thing that's going to be hard is where you start out the character. Because to really convey the blind revenge and all of that, you gotta make the character very naive, and you have to make the character very one-dimensional at the start, and then slowly build them through in the middle, which is going to be the hardest part. And then you have most of the start in the middle laid out for you, right? Just you have the events. You just need to do them in the right order and in the right way with just enough character development and intensity to make that last decision a guess. To make it impossible to understand. No, I totally get it. For me, I just like storytelling. Exploring an idea to the best that it can be is something really fun and entertaining for me. And as you can see, that's what I've been doing with this D&D stuff. I have it. All of these are individual islands that I've created. All of them are individual settings that I have different storylines and characters and ideas, for. I have an entire organization to do this. I love coming up with an idea and exploring it as far as it can go in a brainstorming session. It isn't necessarily about sci-fi or fantasy or anything like that. It's writing a good story. Something I really enjoy. All right, I need to at least get one more lore idea before I'm happy. I mean, I have like an hour and a half before I gotta leave, but still, need to get something done. But yeah, I genuinely do think your story has a good start and a good idea running with it. I haven't, I haven't watched Berserk. That's fine. Honestly, I don't mind. I've been focusing a lot on this specific idea and focusing on something that is an entirely different dimension, right? An entirely different idea and setting and storyline that somebody else created with that I can dive into the details is a good creative creative exercise. It takes me out of only sitting in fantasy instead of really exploring the storytelling medium that I've created myself. It's important. If I don't, if I only focus on this idea and this idea alone and don't indulge in any other media, then at the end of the day, it's going to be very one-dimensional. I see no problem with what's happened. In fact, it was probably more entertaining than what I normally would have done, which is just talking to myself for 2 hours. So, okay. I need a lore thing. We have something about the Painted Sea. We have something about the previous civilization. We have another thing about the previous civilization, but something that's alive. We need something about the islands themselves. Why are the islands all fucked up now? We need something about the islands themselves. What do I need? What do I need? I need to leave. That is totally fine. You got your creative whatever. And thanks again for the follow. I'll see you around, dude. Okay. Now I gotta focus the fuck up because I need this done. Okay. Fuck. What do I need to do? Something that can happen multiple times. But you know, I might actually. Okay. Need to think. Man, I need to really get that waiting screen set up. But that's whatever. Something about the islands. Something about the specifics. Specific thing. I need a specific thing. Something that is repeatable. Actually, that and that are repeatable. This kind of isn't. Yeah, this just isn't. We're going to move this into conditional. I need something repeatable, and I need something... something that the sea or that the setting will create on its own. Doesn't need other reasons for happening. It just needs to happen. Something that'll update the lore and slowly clue them in more and more. Alright, you know what? Actually, we're going to do this for now. I just sat there talking for 2 hours, and I really need to go to the bathroom because I've been drinking Mountain Dew this entire time. So I'll be right back. I think I've come up with something. I think I have. Oh, I don't want to do anything too stupid. Oh. Okay, so, something that I've been thinking about this entire time, or at least in the back of my head, is how have these islands really stuck together? Because the way that I've explained it all away is that centuries ago, there was a Pangea-like continent that a previous civilization inhabited, and the sea was normal, right? Then a storm fueled by magical power that we call the Greater Magistorm now in this campaign wiped out the entire civilization as we know of and destroyed most of the remnants of that civilization. And then suddenly now afterwards what was left were a bunch of different islands, right? Now the real question is, that's not how geography works. You can't just break up a chunk of land and then just send the pieces flying all over the goddamn place. Now, I had an idea about this. This might go into lore, this might not. But I kind of like the idea that the previous land was actually totally destroyed. Just like completely shattered, all sank into the ocean. Just it basically atomized, right? But there was something holding that initial continent together. And this might be something that can go in this table specifically. Generator time. Chunk. This is what I'm going to call it for now. Now, my idea for all of this, and this is going to be something very important, is that for each island has a stone that is filled with a magical power, right? It has a purpose of pulling in rock, sediment, sand, and other things to create an island of its own accord, right? And originally, the Pangea continent had a giant one of these that was pulling in sediment from the like ocean floor together to it to eventually form an island. And that island turned into a giant continent, right? Over time. Now, what I'm thinking for this, the generator chunk idea, is a out of the painted sea pops a small jewel-like stone that pulses, that changes between blue, purple, and pink. Changes between that flows between blue, purple, and pink. Pops a small jewel-like stone. Now, I like the idea that the storm, right? This giant, like, I'm gonna say, I don't know how big I want the stone to be. I'll be real. Haven't decided on the size yet, but I'm thinking like this is like a shard or a generator shard. We'll call it that, not necessarily a chunk, but a shard. Shard of creation, we could call it. Shark. Shard of creation. And we could have that initial continent be made up of a giant stone of creation, right? And after the magical power field storm completely destroyed it, this magical chunk, or this giant stone, turned into much smaller stones of creation that were just spread throughout the plane, right? Thrown everywhere. And then slowly, over time, these islands, these stones that drew in physical matter and created a livable area around them, also fostered life and other things, began creating islands with different rules and different natures just from the affinities of the stone. And what I think would be really cool is that just sometimes the party can come across a small shard of a jewel of creation that is like slowly collecting these materials, right? It'll stick to pretty much any organic or like elemental, I guess, type surface. Anything that isn't man-made. Organic, we'll call it. Like, we'll stick to any organic surface, and we'll draw things like sand to it, like very slowly, very minorly. And then over time, as the party collects more and more of these things, they might be able to buy one at an auction or something like that. They'll begin to understand that, oh, every single island is created by one of these. And eventually, like, due to a couple of these islands, right? Like, a lot of these, like, island ideas, like, Oglio, where somehow an entire tourist destination island gets completely frozen over. Or, Ethrierb, who, is somehow just has a rule of undeath on the island, or anything like that. This lesser Magistorm didn't necessarily break apart any islands, or spawn any new stones or anything like that. It might have spawned a couple new stones. That might be where these shards of creation come from. But they rewired them. They created new rules. It's why everything is changed. And like, of course, some of them, like Tiomon, it just like completely rewrited the gravity part of it. Or Toro is not an island, actually. This needs to go somewhere else. If I'm gonna put Toro in islands, it needs to go to like this or something. But like, and then anything that like didn't have their rules specifically rewritten goes in checkpoint, right? Residentially, like okay or decent island, and then some of these like the Grand Bazaar or Thiliers or anything like that are just islands that like haven't had anything rewritten about them, like Zeapak, the mining town, had its entire soil just magically enriched to form ores and all this other stuff. And I think that's cool. I genuinely think that might be the way I go with this. Now, where did this stone and shard of creation come from? It's a great question. We don't know yet. Or I don't know yet. I don't know why I said the royal we. I just don't know yet. But, eventually, as the party finds out more and more, they might start to know how these stones of creation function. And know that every single person, like, in this is, like, you know, like every single island just has one of these, and they can be rewritten. And then eventually, maybe at the end of the campaign or something like that, they rewrite them all back to normal, using a method similar to the one that created the initial Magistorm. I think that that's pretty fucking cool. It gives a reason as to why the islands are there, and why the Grand Pangea-like continent became islands in the first place. It's not how geography works. It didn't just throw chunks of landmass out into the ocean. No, they slowly formed over time. And I might need to extend the time period in which this happened. Might just go thousands of years ago, not 2,000. But yeah, I'm really happy with that idea. I think it makes sense. Out of the painted sea pops a small jewel-like stone that flows between blue, purple, and pink. Mm-hmm. Party member can notice this. This jewel. Notice the jewel floating out in the water. Or it can stick onto the boat's surface. Mm-hmm. Stick onto the boat's hull. Or it can stick onto the vessel's hull. Alright. This pink stone is a shard of creation. Of a strange stone-like material that draws in organic matter around it. It draws in organic matter around it, regardless. Draws in organic matter around it. Pink stone is a shard of creation, apart from a strange stone-like material that draws in organic matter around it. Sells pretty well in shops as a sort of commodity type item, and the wealthy regularly wear them as jewelry. She usually draws in organic matter, non-living organic matter around it. There we go. That's better. Pink stone is a shard of creation, part of a strange stone-like material that draws in non-living organic matter around it. Sells pretty well in shops as sort of commodity type item that the wealthy regularly wear them as jewelry. The stone is... You can notice the stone floating out in the water, or it can stick to the vessel's hull. The stone is only the size of... How big do I want to make this? Stone is small. The size of... How big do I want to make it? How small? I'm thinking like maybe baseball sized. tennis ball size. Let's go. Small. The size of not a pea, but I want it to be pretty large. Sort of small, the size of a maybe not as big as a tennis ball. What's like something slightly smaller than that? I need like size of a pill bottle. Let's go with that. Size of a pill bottle. Size of the pill bottle. Let's move that here. Party member can notice the stone floating on the water and can stick to the vessel's hole. Pink stone is a shard of creation, part of a strange stone-like material that draws in non-living organic matter around it. Sells pretty well in shops, a sort of commodity they regularly wear. Commodity type of item. Pretty well in jewelry shops. Pretty well in jewelry shops, as a crafter can make pieces of jewelry that the wealthy will wear as status symbols. Is not common knowledge, but these stones, when increased in size, can draw in a much higher volume of matter, volume of organic matter. And big version, and really big versions of the stone are what create the islands. See here for a full explanation. And I'll put that in later. Cool. We have one of the 4 big lore things down. And I only know 3 of them. So, okay, I can probably talk about... I added this, like, what, an hour and a half ago? And just did not explain what I meant by that. So, I'd like to think that there are gods in my world, right? And this is specifically the god of the sea, right? I'm thinking that when the table hits the lore thing, right? Pretty far out into the campaign, I'll be totally real, I might reroll on this if it happens a little early. But they might just stumble upon an embodiment of the painted sea. It's like a Lady of the Lake kind of figure made entirely out of out of painted water, rises out of the ocean depths and greets the party in a telepathically thing. And it's like a little lore drop of information, right? There's probably a myth about it or anything like that. There's probably like a myth about it that circulates throughout a lot of the islands, but that's kind of what I'm thinking for the embodiment of the painted sea. It's something that'll show up sometimes, if angered, might prove to be kind of like a fae kind of thing, where it's like, I'm not going to kill any of you, but one of you's fucked, and just throws seawater at them and something funny happens. And then, yeah, it'd be like small lore drops where like this embodiment of the painted sea just takes an interest in the party, right? A very, very powerful being that is like has control of a lot of different types of magic, right? And it like maybe eventually could be like a fusing between the god of magic in this world and the god of the sea, to the point where now the entire source of all magic in this world is the painted sea. That could be something, but I think I just need to write this out. Lady in the Lake. rises out of the depths of the painted sea to greet the party. Mm-hmm. 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 Stature, towering over the boat, towering over the party's vessel. Mm-hmm. And looks down. Mm-hmm. The party's vessel and begins to speak with them. A lady in the lake type of figure rises out of the depths of the painted sea to greet the party. The being is large in stature, towering over the party's vessel, and begins to speak with them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is the god of the sea. Name here. I'll come up with names eventually. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. This is the god of the sea. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In the party. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Took interest in the party after. Interesting. So when it comes to this encounter table stuff, I want quite a few of the miscellaneous and lore things to happen, right? Weather is whatever. I want all of them to happen at least once, but I want a few of them to happen, right? I want, like, especially, like, this conditional one is something that I'll just kind of have happen eventually. And I need a couple of these events to happen. And I'll be totally real with you, depending on how I'm feeling or what mood I'm in. I might just be like, yeah, I rolled the encounter table, and then I just go into miscellaneous and click on Vessel Familiar, because I want the party to have a funny pet. Right? And, like, honestly, there are different versions of that. If I want the party to have a combat encounter because it's been a while, I'll roll the hostile one. If it's been a while since I've seen weather, I'll roll the weather one. If it's been a while since I've seen miscellaneous, I'll roll miscellaneous. It'd be interesting. And I think it'd be cool. So I don't necessarily plan on running the encounter table exactly as described, where whenever I'm feeling like it, I will just roll it randomly, but not most of the time, I'm going to say at minimum probably about half the time, I'm either rolling in a specific category. Like, we'll say 40% of the time I roll it completely randomly. 50% of the time I probably roll it in a specific category because, I want a specific kind of thing to happen. It's been a while maybe, or I want more weather to happen. I want it to be a very weather-filled journey or something. And then 5% of the time I'll re-roll, we'll say, if I don't like it. Let's say I rolled on the miscellaneous tab and it rolls on to Ghost Ship, and I do not want the Ghost Ship to happen yet. I will just straight up re-roll it. And then the other 5% of the time I decide, okay, it's time for a fun thing to happen, and then I go and do Ambush by Sky Survivors, right? I think it's important to stay that way, and I'm gonna keep it that way. I might get some hate for that, but I know it's supposed to be random, but, like, you know what, who cares, right? Okay, I need to do the rest of this. This is the god of the sea. And this is the entire thing that spawned this conversation. Mm-hmm. After the event, Vessel Familiar happens. Because I need a condition for this to happen. Because I like the idea of the Painted Familiar, we'll call it. You know what? Actually, I like that name so much better. Hold on. Painted Familiar. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This way, it kind of allows the god of sea and magic who took an interest in the party after the event of Vessel Familiar happens. Like, the god of magic, the god of the sea, all that flowing. Magic is essentially like water at times, flowing through your body just as water does. You know how it goes. The god of the sea and magic. Who took an interest in the party after the event Painted Familiar happens. Familiar happens. The Painted Familiar is a being entirely separate from the god of sea, from the god of the sea, of magic and the sea. Entirely separate. I will learn to spell one of these days. No, I won't. This is the god of the sea and magic who took interest in the party after the event Painted Familiar happens. This Painted Familiar is being entirely separate from god of magic and sea. However, is connected. However, is considered a child of her. However, is considered a child of hers as he spawned. As it spawned. I don't know why I think he. Who knows? As it spawned from her magic of creation. This is the god of the sea and magic who took interest in the party after the event Painted Familiar happens. This Painted Familiar is a being entirely separate from the god of magic and sea. Whoever is considered a child of hers as it spawned from her magic of creation. At first encounter, all she does is introduce herself to the party. And asks them to take care of the Painted Familiar, as it seems to like this place. This vessel in particular. On subsequent visits, she will reveal some information, some important lore-based information about different topics, such as the Shards of Creation, some details on the Lesser Magistorm, and the overall lore of the... and information regarding the Lost Civilization. Okay. I think by the way that this entire thing is happening, right? The way that everything has been set up in terms of Shard of Creation, the embodiment of the Painted Sea, everything like that, this lore tab is not going to get rolled a lot. I think that I might keep it as a 1 through 5, maybe. Or maybe roll a d4 for a while between hostile, miscellaneous, weather, and either nothing or random island. Basically be 50-50, right? And, because I do want an option for this on nothing. And then eventually, I would get to the point where I'm rolling a d6, and I'm rolling hostile, lore, miscellaneous, weather, and then I have random island and nothing on there. That way, nothing can happen. But and also I can save to start rolling on the lore tab when the party gets a little more interested in the campaign, right? Now, washed up ruin. Piece of junk, piece of tech, or writing, or ruins from the Lost Civilization. Floating on the... Jesus Christ. I hate that stupid rabbit sometimes. Okay. Piece of tech, writing, or ruins from the Lost Civilization is floating on the surface of the Painted Sea. These could include a variety of information. Including New runes. Anecdote about the past. Anecdote about the past, or some other information. Information about the language of runes. Runes. Or anecdotes. Functions as a small lore drop. Which is a small lore drop and used to add context to big lore drops in the future. Okay, and that's all this will be. Just, I'd have to probably make a table of different things that could show up, like maybe a message in a bottle from a couple thousand years ago detailing an interaction between a man who went to war and his significant other back home. Maybe I could have a piece of a machine that was using runic technology that, or the runic language to function, and has different information on the system. It just has information on the system of runic writing in general or anything like that. It'll just be a small lore drop that I'll eventually create a table for. And now I need one more. I need one more note under lore to make it even be worth rolling, right? So that's the thing. I need one more thing. I have something about the islands. I have something about the previous civilization. And I have something about the sea itself. I have things from the civilization. I have things about the sea itself, and I have in the past, and I have things about the islands themselves. What other thing could I even do? I've covered pretty much most of my bases here. Let's see. Yeah, most of these are just normal. Let's look at my concepts tab. Let me think. What do I have here? You know, I can maybe be washed up ruin as something else. Maybe I could do different for rune magic? What time is it? 3:30. Maybe go into main narrative? Meeting of the party? No, that's just the thing that the party will be following. Wave Riders, Wave Cruiser, acts its own entity in combat, meaning as its own stat totals, movement, AC, and attacks. Okay, so going through the entire lore, we have the previous civilization and what they were doing, and what they were like. We have the Painted Sea itself and its origin in all of this. Then we have the islands and their role in the creation of this world. All that's left is the people of this world, right? No, lore is all about the past. A lot of that stuff will be fleshed out by when they're actually on islands. I need one more idea. I have something about the people of the past through washed up ruins. Maybe I do something different with this. Because maybe I can split up the difference between technology and anecdotes. Something about the tech and the tech that they were making and what they were doing with the tech, and then have anecdotes. I have an idea. Hold on. So, chunk of ruin or piece of tech. Floats to the painted sea surface. Either a chunk of ruin or a piece of lost civilization tech floats to the painted sea surface. This could be for a variety of reasons. Dislodged. Ocean depths by some current, or being brought from the past due to magic, due to a magical effect. The true cause is unknown. These lost tech. We'll go lost tech on this. These pieces of these pieces of tech largely used to relate the knowledge of the runic system. The knowledge of the runic system. And teach its use to the party over time. Along with a few examples of how these runes work. Each piece of tech will showcase one rune and how it can apply to an object. There we go. I like this a lot. And then here's what I can do for the other one. So I like the idea of the sea, like the waves are rolling and it's very rhythmic and clear outside. And whoever's on deck or nearby to the ocean just starts hearing and seeing a visual from the past. Like, what's the word? What's the name of the magic for this? God damn it. All types of magic. All schools. Schools of magic. Okay. What does each school represent? How does it work efficiency? Schools of magic. Abjuration, protective, transportation, divination, schools of magic, enchantment, evocation. Yeah, illusion. Yeah. Illusion magic. Yeah. The slow rolling of the waves. Slow rolling of the... The low and rhythmic sound of the waves hitting side of your vessel. Side of the party's vessel. the low and rhythmic sound of the waves hitting the side of the party's vessel, combining with the cool ocean breeze. Smell salty water in the air. Begin to coalesce into a vision of the past. Any party member present on the deck of the vessel will begin to experience a moment. Begin to experience a moment pass through the eyes of another. The vision itself will feel blurry and inconsistent with the feeling distant and hard to hear. Over time, more clear to the party. Become more and more clear to the party. See them. Over time, these visions will become more and more clear to the party members that see them. As the ocean is more and more adept, more and more magically, more magically used. Okay, cool. I think that is the lore idea done, right? Because, this is like a combination of divination and illusion magic. This is the god of magic in the sea herself combined into, well, the god of magic and god of the sea being forced into one being by the aftermath of the original Magistorm, which can be thrown into lore later. Lost tech from the previous civilization will relate information about rune magic overall, from instead of them having to learn it from another person. And then a shard of creation will eventually detail how an island works and how it was formed. I think that I did a pretty damn good job, all things considered. Even though I only have 4 here, I think all of these are very wide in application, except for the shard of creation, of course. It's just a shard floating along the water. But, you know, I think that's pretty damn cool. I've come up with a lot of potential lore. Though I like the Shard of Creation's idea, I really like the idea of the god of magic and the god of the sea being fused due to the aftermath, and it's why a storm of magical and biblical proportions just ravaged the island in the first place. And the connection becoming more and more unstable as days goes on is what's caused the initial lesser magic storm. And it's why the water of the sea has suddenly become magical. I think that's super cool. I think we have a bit of a lore idea on our hands. I think that's cool as hell. Maybe, this is just an idea, but maybe somebody tried to ascend to the title of the god of magic, and they were using water divination or something to try and get to that effect, and the entire spell backfired, and the god of magic backfired, and as they were on the open ocean while doing it, fused the essences of the god of magic and the god of the ocean. Because the ocean tried to, we'll say that the god of the ocean was like maybe listening or viewing and tried to stop them, but instead of stopping them, the spell backfired and just ended up fusing the two gods together. And that could be what causes the storm in the first place. And the next Lesser Magistorm could theoretically, you know, do shit. Right? I think that that's cool as hell. But you know what that also means? Let's just insert a table here. We got a lore one, baby. Lore. I just need to open up this one. Past anecdotes. Yeah, maybe just go past anecdotes. 2, 3, 4. You know what? Let's just go. Embodiment of the sea. Painted. We'll just go God of Sea and Magic here for this one, and then Lost Tech and Shard of Creation. There we go. I think that we did one hell of a goddamn job. And before I go today, I'll spend about 20 minutes revising the rules here. Not rules, though. Encounter table guidelines. I have some guidelines that I want to add here. So, whenever the party is out braving the sea, something unexpected is bound to happen. It could be due to the sea's effects, or the people also traveling the sea. Who's out braving the painted sea? Something unexpected is bound to happen. This could be due to the sea's effects or the people also traveling the sea. Either way. Anything could happen. So we must roll the table. I don't know why I'm talking like this when I'm going to be the only one ever reading this document. But, yeah, you know, makes me more fun for me to read it at the very least. But anyways, whenever the party is out braving the painted sea, something unexpected is bound to happen. This could be due to the sea's effects or the people also traveling the sea. Either way, anything could happen, so we must roll the table. When and where I roll the table. When and how often I roll the table will be decided depending on the length of the journey. When and how often I roll the table will be decided depending on the length of the journey. In the moment. As sticking to one rule would make it feel make the entire experience feel formulaic. I don't know how the hell to spell formulaic. Is that how you spell it? Okay. Sticking to one rule would make the entire experience feel formulaic. Can also decide to roll specific types of events. I don't necessarily have to roll the entire table. Use the entire table every time. Or even decide to do certain events anyways. Table itself is only for use when I feel no specific inspiration and decide randomness is the way. Alright, I think I like these. It's just, whenever the party's out in the painted sea, I'm rolling the table. Something's got to happen. When and how often I roll the table is dependent on the length of the journey and how I'm feeling that day. And I don't necessarily have to roll the whole table. I can do specific events or just roll in specific types of events. And nobody can say anything about it because these are my rules. There are also conditional events that will only happen After certain events happen. After certain events are triggered in a certain way. Conditional events will only happen after certain events are triggered in a certain way. Under no circumstances am I to just throw these events at players. That is just a reminder to not throw a hurricane at them. Because I like the idea of, in the conditional, having shit like a hurricane or a kraken or the Sky Survivors idea, which I'll explore another time, I think. Because I think lore is enough right now. And I think that, yeah, that's good. That's really good. I think these 4 specific guidelines are what I'm going to go with, and by having them here, it means I can get reminded. But, guess fucking what? It's done, baby! The encounter table is done. At least for now. There are more stat blocks that I need to add for the hostile ones, and there are more descriptions I need to add for conditional, and I'll always be adding more to these as I see fit. Because, I mean, hell, there are infinite possibilities that I just couldn't think of at the moment, right? But that is the encounter table stuff all organized and done. Everything is easily accessible, but the last thing that happens is linking all of these. Oh. So I'm just going to go through and do all that. Because this is going to make the graph look really cool. Oh, it's spaced. I see. It shouldn't take too long, though. It's just pressing a lot of keys in a row. One of these days, I'll swap these all to be in the correct order in which the things come up, but, you know, it's whatever. And honestly, I am so happy with how this has all turned out. I think that out of everything, like I mean, sure, I've written a few islands, and I've gotten a bit of lore down, a lot more than I used to have, but honestly, having the entire encounter table to a point where not only do I have specific events and, like specific hostile events, specific lore ideas, and all of that. I have specific ideas when it comes to anything instead of just a title and something to hope gets figured out. I think that's cool as hell. I think that's so cool. Alright, hold on. I honestly think it's so cool. Oh, wait, wait, what? I can hover over it? Oh, that's sick, actually. I had no clue. That's awesome. But no, I think that this might be some of the best progress we've made in a long time. And pretty much, this means that all I really have to do before the end of March, which was my one, god damn it. The one thing that I wanted to do was to get the campaign to a point where I could run it. Or not necessarily run it, but have all of my information accurately described and organized to the best of its ability. And I think, honestly, we have done a really good job of that. I think out of everything, I am the most proud of how this has gone. Because, like, sure, the islands have now been organized to be correct, but at the end of the day, I haven't done too much writing on that part. When it comes to, and then when you get into, like, the organizations and shit, I am pretty happy with, the Joint Naval Forces ship. Joint Naval Forces ship, we'll go that. For the most part, all of what I've been doing is just, like, kind of rewriting a lot of shit. And I think that most of what I've done here is actually not even been rewriting, but then just writing. And I've kept it to a point where it's all organized in a way that I want, that I can add more if need be, and it won't be a massive pain, that linking to them isn't going to be a problem. Oh. Hold on. What did I call the... Ah, I see. I just forgot to do that. Okay. Yeah. I'm good. I'm good. I'm really happy with how this has gone. And I think tomorrow, if I have the time, I don't... Wait, what? Oh, I guess... Are they still called Anecdotes of the Past or something in lore? Yeah, okay. Past anecdotes. I want these names to be smaller. How do I shorten the name of this? I could just call it Visit. I think that works for my purposes. Now, just to take a quick look at the progress that we've made so far. This is going to be the last thing I do today. Stream's going to end soon. But even with the giant distraction that I just had, we got a lot done today. We thought through it and we did it. And now, as a bit of a treat, right? Let's look at the graph view. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Look at all of that. Wait, what? How does this connect to the full table? Oh, I know, this is just floating around. I see. But look at that. That's cool as hell, isn't it? And some of these will be linked to the painted sea later once I make it. It's going to be so cool. But okay. Isn't this cool as hell? I'm really happy with it. If you couldn't tell, I'm really happy with it. Oh, shit. Because goddamn, I can click on any of these now, and all of them have genuine descriptions. Every single one. And I can just read it out by hovering over it. Isn't that cool? This is why I wanted you to use this system. I didn't know that I could hover over it. I thought I could just have to, like, click and then, like, press the back button. But, like, goddamn, this is sick as hell. I can pull up potential stat blocks and have an initiative fucking thing over here. Isn't that cool? Isn't that fucking sick? But alright, I gotta end stream. It was fun, but I ended up getting horribly distracted for a lot of reasons. And that's fine, honestly. I don't really care. Yep. I gotta go and eat some amount of food and get dressed and all that stuff before I go to work. So tomorrow I'll go through all of the... There are two things I'm going to do tomorrow. One, I'm going to organize everything that's like in this specific spot here. Like the shop tables I'm happy where I'm at. The shop tables are going to be all next week. I'm happy with these specific folders being in the main area. Like organizations having their own folder. Like, look at this fucking shit. Islands having their own folder, and encounter table stuff having their own folder. All of the folders up here, I'm totally fine with. I just need to, like, expand on these a bit better. And then, and change these around and add more and remove some. But, anyways. I just need to, like, make the campaign rules document something else. I need to remove the stat blocks thing entirely and have pretty much an entire... Lore Dump needs to become a folder as well. It's going to be a lot of reformatting happening tomorrow. There's going to be reformatting, and then once I'm done reformatting, I'm going to go through and do all of the Discord stuff. All the Discord ideas that we had, adding in some art that was posted. I had a few island ideas, I think, that was posted, and a few character ideas as well. I want to go through all of them, and either put them in directly, maybe put my own spin on them, or anything like that, but I'll credit anyone who has the idea, for sure. But okay, that's going to be the end of today's stream. This is a long one, not as long as yesterday's, but, you know, I had a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to do. But, I'll see y'all later. Oh, shit. Man, that was all awful. God Christ. Bye. See y'all later. Bye.